I play StarCraft 2 more for fun. It's not a StarCraft Brood War, actually for fun too, because I'm really bad at it. So I play both.
All right, so we're going into the first. I think it's the semi-finals or quarterfinals. Quarterfinals, I believe, best of 3, and Julia's up 1-0 right now. So,
okay. So this is a second game. Can you put the result? I don't know if you.
I think you can do that. Score 1.
Result. You know, slash.
Result 1-0. Okay, there we go. That works. So yeah, it's a ZVZ between ZaRaki and Julia.
Okay, so one thing that I wanted to say about these two players in ZVZ, I think it might be interesting. Julian, as we saw in the previous game, is aggressive. He likes to do a lot of attacks and things. ZaRaki is the opposite. He's actually like the most defensive but macro-oriented player. But in ZVZ, that in theory doesn't matter, right? Because ZVZ is almost always the same.
Yeah.
So I want to see if that makes a difference. Look at even the AP. If you have the APMs... Okay, look at the APMs. ZaRaki is very low because he kind of is just maybe thinking about... I have to say, most of the people that are bad-mannered, I don't like them. But Julian, his bad manner is funny in a way. Anyway, so I want to see how it actually works. Oh, wait a second. Actually, Julian is the one who's not being aggressive.
Yeah, ZaRaki is the one that's going for the aggression here. It's going for the 9 pool and gas. So, yeah.
I mean, I know because many times when I've seen ZaRaki play, he actually won against Gem by doing something which just seems like crazy, but he basically took a lot of hatcheries and made some sunkens. So the double gate from Gem did nothing, and from there Gem that had pretty much no way to be aggressive. So that's why I was thinking ZaRaki is defensive, but okay, so...
Yeah, so, okay, it's just going to go for 6 things, obviously. It's going to get... I would imagine speed because of how it lines up with his minerals first. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to get speed and then it's going to go for the lair.
Guys, for those of you who are in the chat talking about, you know, Warcraft 3 against Brood War against StarCraft 2, it's kind of pointless. People like what they like, and there is no really much of a reason to talk about that. Let's focus on what we have today, because this is what really matters for us, right? Just
yeah, we like watching Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer's a good game.
I like actually watching, don't kill me for this, but I kind of like watching people stream games that I played just to see if they react as I did. You know, games that, like, nothing that has to do with RDSs, just... Okay, so let's see, the first attack from... Actually, I think this is pretty easily to be defended, right, by Julian?
Yeah. Julia went for the perfect counter build against what ZaRaki's doing. He went for a 12 pool against the 9 pool of
and he even brought 2 drones, which he actually doesn't even need at this point.
Yeah, but it's nice for safety. And actually, he will need them now because there's 8 lings out.
Oh yeah, now he does. But what I meant is kind of he would be kind of okay.
Yeah, so there's a bit of micro back and forth going on right now. ZaRaki will have speed at some point though, whereas I don't think Julia will in any time soon. Oh, there we go, speed's done. And can he outmaneuver Julia? He gets a bunch of things, but...
Oh god, that's actually pretty good for ZaRaki. He's starting really to get ahead on this.
Yeah, wow. The only advantage Julia still has is having an extra hatchery, but the lings are dying right now on both sides. He's targeting an egg! He lost so much damage there, that was really bad.
That's about the game, I think.
I don't know if I want to call it game yet, because I think ZaRaki does have an tech advantage. He's already got the lairs building the spire, whereas Julia doesn't really have that yet. But,
okay, but yeah, what I meant about the game is that there's actually a pretty big lead, and I don't think Julian is going to let it go. I mean, I know that sometimes these kind of things don't happen, like you can come back from it, but the problem is when speed actually got finished for Julian, and he had the extra hatchery, even if the spire finishes, if you have to defend against the possible 2 hatchlings, you have to invest in something, like sunken maybe, or some zerglings. If you go out with your first mutas from 1 hatchery, remember that's key, and your opponent dashes in with all his zerglings, you will die before your muta gets to the base of your opponent. So that's why I mean that it's a pretty big lead. Like you don't actually even need spores, I think, in this position.
No, actually, you're right. I think Julia might just overrun him here, unless he micros poorly. Yeah, the advantage for Julia here is there's no ramp, so ZaRaki can't really do the whole...
Exactly. That's actually pretty huge also.
Yeah.
It's a small thing that people usually don't... people who don't play the game a lot tend to forget. Like, for example, if there's no ramp, then one build actually starts to become a lot more powerful than it used to be.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a Sunken going up in ZaRaki's main. He should actually be fine against Julia right now. And once the Sunken gets up and he sends the links back to the Sunken, he could actually get aggressive with his mutas.
Well, we do have 2 mutas only, and 7 drones. And if you look at Julian, he has 16 drones. So he's making spores. So once the spores are up, if he makes another round of drones, he will pretty much like almost triple, I think, ZaRaki in drones.
Yeah, pretty much. It's gonna be it's 7 against 14 right now. It's literally double the amount of mutas.
Yeah. So that's the problem that I see really for ZaRaki.
Yeah, ZaRaki's gonna have map control though with his mutas. And he's going to need to build it into something somehow, and that's going to be the tricky part. Mutas is going to be able to chase these lings away. Julia, it's very smart to invest in drones rather than more lings and trying to finish it there. I think it's a very safe choice.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, Spores going up right now. It's going to be safe against ZaRaki's mutas for the time being. And he should probably try to get an expansion himself. He should build some drones, but no, he's building more mutas. He's going to finish
You
these out.
cannot really do that. I mean, the problem with ZaRaki's build right now, at this situation, is that you have to deal damage with the mutas. You're not going to do that with 2. You need, like, 6. So, there is... Oh my god, there is actually one way that ZaRaki can win. And that way is the gap between the natural and the main. The way you do that, you run in with some Zerglings, when, of course, the Zerglings are not positioned correctly for Julian, and you leave the mutas at that choke. So the Zerglings that you run in with start killing drones, you know, pool and everything else, and the mutas don't allow your opponent's Zerglings to defend. But I think ZaRaki is kind of a long way from trying to do that.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to try to expand himself. He's going to drone to the natural there, so he might do that himself very shortly and try to somehow make a game out of this. It's possible if he snipes some drones, but it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem really is that right now the mineral income for ZaRaki was... Oh, he actually stopped gas mining completely. Whoa.
Yeah. So Julian's going to be able to make more mutas by the time it's...
Yeah, Julian, when he takes his natural gas, that's going to be difficult for ZaRaki.
I think Julia's ahead in pretty much every way right now.
The only advantage that ZaRaki has are mutas, and so far he can't use them correctly. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not so much a correctly thing. It's more that Julia didn't give him any real holes to exploit him in.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he could hit. There is actually something that the mutas could do, which is try to hit the gas in the main. You know, micro it. I think he would still take damage from the spore, though.
Yeah.
So spore positioning.
I think it's well placed. Yeah. But the glaive bounce might actually kill some drones if he's lucky. Depends on.
Maybe yes. It's possible. I still think that ZaRaki's trying to go. I think this is kind of an all-in pretty much because when this doesn't work, ZaRaki will know that the delay for his own natural is so big compared to Julian's that. I mean, the supply is still... Oh, it's not anymore, but it was pretty close for a while.
Yeah, but Julia's just going to soar ahead right now. I'm not sure what ZaRaki can really do at this point, because it's like, okay, you're both doing the same thing, but one guy has more stuff than the other guy.
That's kind of the problem with ZVZ. Usually when Koreans used to do this one base, one hatch thing, they would always be aggressive with the Zerglings, and the idea was that you keep trading Zerglings constantly, so that you can decide when your Spire is finished, whether you make more Zerglings or you go mutas. In theory.
Yeah.
But...
Also, one thing we can't forget is that even if the Spires are relatively equal, Julia has 3 spores in his natural and 2 in his main. It's going to give him so much more room to maneuver.
Exactly. You can actually go out with the mutas, lose them, and still be okay. Whereas ZaRaki cannot do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, ZaRaki is kind of clawing his way back into the game, kind of. But he's still going to need to make some magic happen to really get back into the game.
Oh, interestingly enough, Julian didn't keep up his drone production because maybe he was afraid of an attack. And because of that, the drone count is not as crazy as I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So Muta's going to try and get some link here. He does have one attack upgrade actually against the 0-0 of Julia, but Julia is working on the carapace upgrade, and once... Oh, they're both actually working on the carapace upgrade.
No.
So... he will have a slight advantage in the upgrade, so I'm not sure it's going to be enough though.
Well, unfortunately I'm going to have to eat my pizza cold, but this is worth it. Okay, so let's see another question that's interesting is that if ZaRaki, with his gas income from the natural, can keep up with the Muta count, then the question becomes of the third, I think. Because, you know, Mutas versus Mutas, one thing that's very tricky is that when you stack them, it's a little bit difficult to tell who's ahead.
Yeah. Definitely.
And because of that, Julian might not want to go, like, full attack.
Okay, one thing I like about ZaRaki here is that he's actually getting some Scourges in. I think he should have definitely maybe even done it a little bit earlier, because Scourges are the only thing that can be cost efficient to really get back into the game if you get some good Scourge hit off.
He could have, but the problem I think he doesn't have... Look at the gas count. Like, look at the difference between both players. The gas count for Julian is huge. The gas count for ZaRaki is very low. So if he went for Scourges early on and he still can't use them like to attack because of the spores,
what I mean is, it can be both mineral and gas efficient to go for Scourge.
Yes.
Whereas that's not really the case if you just go Mutas against Mutas. The higher number of Mutas will win.
Yeah. Although I have to say that there is actually there have been games where the lower Muta count has won versus the bigger count. I think Jadon did this a few times. The way you do that, when the Mutas are engaging, you have to be perfect with your timing when to stop an attack. And the way you do that is you hit and you move just enough to hit the one Muta that is slightly ahead. It's extremely difficult, but it can happen.
Oh, and he discovers the third base right now, and he's going to try and intercept it right now.
This is the perfect time for Julian to counter, I think. Oh, because if he countered with his Mutas...
yeah. What's he going to do?
Exactly.
I'm not sure if he has enough spores to destroy 16 Mutas, but it's not going to matter either way.
Yeah, because the economy of ZaRaki would die a lot sooner, so...
Yeah. So, but another thing I want to add is that Scourges are a good choice because he has less drones, which means he's going to have less minerals if he wants to keep mining all his geysers. So if he makes Scourge, they're not actually as mineral intensive, so he can actually keep up that way too.
Okay. Two things I want to point out. One, with so many Scourges, it's actually a little bit difficult to get good hits. And the second, there is a Evo chamber for Julian, and I think at this point it would be incredibly good to get Link upgrades because they're cheap, but they can obliterate your opponent's Zerglings once you get just one upgrade.
I'm not sure I agree on that because I think one upgrade is one Muta right now, and it's going to be a battle between the Mutas as well, and I think the one that wins the Muta battle is going to win the game eventually. But I'm very curious to see if one person will go into a hive here, because it is the kind of situation where a hive is possible.
Not for ZaRaki. He doesn't have enough economy. If you look at his, if you look at basically at the bank, I would say more than anything else.
Yeah, but I think it's a gamble you might have to take.
It's a gamble. Okay, yes, that I agree upon. Definitely, it's if it works, like even 1 or 2 devourers, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But it takes so long that it's like it's a really hard beating thing. You really are praying until that's finished.
Actually, Julia's the one that's going to go for a hive here. His Queen's Nest is almost finished at the bottom left.
And it makes sense for him since he had the better economy and he had the better Muta count, right? Because of the early.
And snare! Beautiful.
And snare. Oh God, Julian.
Okay, that means if Julia gets a favorable engagement, he's going to be able to wipe out the entire Muta flock of ZaRaki.
And as we mentioned before, no spores for ZaRaki. So actually, Julian can actually force the engagement where ZaRaki can't. God.
The Scourge scouts these spore colonies he already knew existed, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm not sure. I don't think he saw the Queen's Nest because Skirts just have absolutely terrible sight range.
I didn't even see where it actually died, so... I mean, the supply still is in the lead of for Julian, and in the muted count we have 29 for ZaRaki, and we have 34 for Julian. Although the micro will come into it very big, like depending on how they engage, it will be a big deal.
Yeah, so both players are getting the second carapace upgrade. The one of Julia will finish a little bit earlier. I think the perfect window for him would be to attack right when he gets to carapace.
I don't know, because the question that I have is, where would Julian attack? I guess the third.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, and taking the third at the same time. Oh, and the queens have enough energy, right? It's 75 for ensnare.
Yes, it's 75.
So 2 ensnares. So if he misses one, he still has another.
Yeah. So carapace is about to complete for Julia right here. And it's not complete yet for ZaRaki. He's still gonna...
Those queens! Ah, they're so... Ah, no, they didn't see it.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. He's gonna go for the engagement. This is gonna be the game-deciding engagement. Mew's moving in right now. The Skirt's getting lots of hits out, and Julia needs to flee. Oh no, he doesn't! Oh my god, he gets great snares off right now. And
no, he has to attack really fast. He can't let the snare to wear off. This is the best opportunity.
Oh my god, I'm not sure who's winning. I think it's Julia, but he did run a few times. I'm not sure that was really what he needs to do. More meters coming in right now. The reinforcement rate for ZaRaki is a lot closer than for Julia. And it's 16 to 16, 15 to... Oh, 10 to... Okay, ZaRaki is really losing the game right now. Julia is now overwhelming us.
That ensnare.
And this was really game-winning move. Also the fact that he attacked right when he hit...
And the third was down for ZaRaki, because 4 Zerglings were attacking that third all the time while that fight was going on.
Wow. Yeah, that was the game-winning blow for Julia. That was really well executed. It hit exactly when he hit 2 carapace.
Look at the supplies.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really nicely executed by Julia. He knew exactly when to hit that timing.
Alright, so I don't know why Julian is now being so kind of defensive.
Yeah, he should probably just go finish the game.
I mean, you should probably know that after you wipe out the meter count of your opponent and you kill the third, especially because and Hive is finished as well.
Maybe he wants to wait for Guardians just to get flag points.
You mean Devours, right?
No, I mean Guardians. I mean, what do you need Devours for when you've got 20 more meters than your opponent does?
Yeah, but okay, spurs are gonna come up now, but spurs at all.
Oh, I guess another
snare! Oh my god, another snare on the ZaRaki's mutas.
Yeah, and this game is over. GG is called by ZaRaki, and Julia will advance to next round.
Guys, for those of you who have problem with ZVZ, just make queens, I guess. Of course, you'll probably die like every other Zerg that tries that because it's so difficult to do, but...
Yeah. Yeah, Julia was just already quite ahead from the start, so... Yeah. Alright, let's see...